Storytelling is how culture, values, and your perceived identity can be passed down. It's call and response, and though the delivery can take on many different forms, the most vital aspect of storytelling is its ability to make you or someone else feel something. Our DNA, sometimes unbeknownst to us, gives us and tells us stories. And in our life, we experience series of moments and moments that pass, which create new ones that we carry on with us. These are a few of mine. 2000. As a young kid, my backyard police cars or ambulances, older kids walking around with nothing to do, and paleteros and corn vendors sounding their horn, hoping to entice people to spend the few dollars they had left in their pocket. When it was time to come inside, my father was already home. I never saw him in the mornings. He was always at work by the time I woke up, so seeing him in the evening was nice. The muscles he had were forged by years of hard labor, worn into him like the grooves of a well-used tool. Shadows clung beneath his eyes, heavy bags that he carried on a daily basis. He'd come home carrying the scent of metal and sweat, the heavy perfume of the foundry. His smell was comforting, and I wanted to be like my dad, even if it meant wearing a different kind of tired than the one that he wore. 2003. My summers were spent at my grandma's, where cigarette smoke filled the aroma of the house and beans were always on the stove. I was watching The Box, taking a break from the summer heat outside. A music video came on. He looked so cool, so I started listening. This shit was powerful. The words were profound, and the choir-like chorus lifted my spirit. The song made me feel stronger and filled the space within my chest. This morning, I woke up feeling brand new, and I jumped up feeling my highs and my lows and my soul and my goals. The video ended. The credits appeared on the lower left-hand side of the screen. His name was one that I couldn't even pronounce at the time. Talib Kweli. 2005. Our field was an uneven road that kicked up dust every time the ball bounced on the sun-beaten pavement. The goals were created by trash collected off the street, which we placed about 6 feet from the curb so as to stretch into the middle of the road. The unpaved streets of the barrio of San Sebastián in León, Guanajuato, Mexico, taught me that joy does not need smooth roads. It can be found in the chaos, in the moments when you're chasing the ball and nothing else matters. 2007. My school days were from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., followed by a study hall from 7 to 9 p.m. in all Latino boys middle school that was started with the goal of keeping young boys off the streets. 2 memories to share tonight, but the brightest were the laughs that were shared. And not just any kind of laughs, but the kind that you only knew if you knew, you know what I mean? The kind that only makes sense if you grew up having to translate documents for family members. The kind that only makes sense if you understood that love sometimes looks like a plate of food. The kind that only makes sense if you shopped at the thrift store before it was trendy. Damn, y'all really fell down, huh? The kind that only makes sense if you grew up being afraid of el cucuy and la chancla. The kind that only makes sense if you slept in the living room because your relative recently migrated to the US again. The kind that only makes sense if you prayed in 2 languages. 2009. Calling my grandma every evening at dinner time was an unspoken ritual. We lived upstairs, she lived downstairs. Abuela, ¿ya comiste? ¿Quieres fideo con pollo? My grandmother started working when she was about 11, started smoking when she was 12, and worked as a field laborer in Texas until she moved to Milwaukee for industrial work. As I got older and moved out, my routine no longer consisted of calling to ask if she had eaten dinner. Despite this, I would still stop by often. Many times it was a resting spot for me, an oasis, where I could sit down from a fast-paced life and aimlessly watch whatever was blaring on the TV screen. Instead of dinner, we would share cigarettes. Feeding someone is more than filling their stomach. Sometimes nourishment looks like quiet companionship. 2011, I was heavily involved in sports. I was pretty decent at them too, at least that's what I think. I was playing in a soccer tournament hours away in another state, I think in Kansas City. The home side seating was almost empty, but at one point of the game, I looked into the crowd and saw my mother in the stands. She loved road trips, and she loved me. So she had decided to take a surprise trip with a good friend of hers to come cheer us on. After the game, she greeted me with a hug and kiss and a good game, mijo, despite performing poorly. She handed over, that wasn't meant to be funny. But that's love though, that's love, right? I already knew what it was. Her renowned, oh, I think I skipped along my bad. She handed me over a pack wrapped in aluminum foil. I already knew what it was. Her renowned quesadillas. She pulled out another 10 packs or so. I thought to myself, I can't finish all that. She started calling out my teammates to give them some food as well. All of us were posted in the parking lot by the bus, laughing, joking, and chatting it up. In the middle of it all was my mom. Love feeds more than one mouth. It spills over and touches everyone in its reach. 2017. It was just us at the table. Dinner again. Nothing special, nothing new. My roommate was a fast eater. Yo, I'm sorry, bro. I was confused. Bracing myself is something I did not know about. I'm sorry for not being there as much as I think I should have. My mom had passed about 6 months earlier. The year that followed was a blur, and a range of emotions consumed me daily. He shared that he didn't know how to react, how to be there for me, how to show up for me, if he wanted me to carry on as his normal upbeat self, or follow my lead and sit with me in my quiet. I needed this. His honesty found a part of me that I had almost forgotten. We hugged and said I love you to each other. 2021. The air buzzed with house music and possibility. There was this gorgeous woman who I had known for a good while. I mean, fine as hell. We had met before, talked, messaged, but always surface level, always respectful. The timing was never right, until it was. That night, we both planned to meet up at a house party. We met and talked, but the majority of the night was spent dancing to house music, sharing in our love for music and movement. We barely even touched on the dance floor, but our souls were synced. The rhythm pulled us together and our steps became silent conversations. It was as if our feet were tracing the path it took for us to meet at this very moment. The night ended with a kiss and the beginning of a dance that I never want to end. That's fine. Thank y'all.